It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, F you, I run this mother. And that's what that's all about.
Get it, 17.
They don't know me, son.
Get it, 18.
They don't know me, son.
Get it, 19.
They don't know me, son.
Yeah, 20, you got
They
some
don't know
more
me,
in you.
son.
21, yeah, get it, yeah.
When you're watching TV or you're, going out for dinner on a date and you go to a movie, I'm not doing that. No weekends, no evenings really. Luckily for me, I like what I do.
So people always ask me, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. No matter how much I bleed on my elbows or my knees, I saw that vision of the perfect scene, and it was an important scene, and I would do it over and over again until we got it.
I was sacrificing everything. I put everything into that business. I sacrificed my social life. I sacrificed my leisure in a way that almost nobody believes me, except a couple of people that knew me then. Nobody can believe the hyperbole that comes out of my mouth, which I'm okay with, I understand, but I gave up everything.
I wish I could back off, but it's fourth quarter. I wish I could tell you something else. I wish I could tell you tired, go take a break. I wish I could tell you tired, rest for a year. I wish I could tell you that it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you it's gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you that if you just keep going, it's gonna get lighter. The weight is gonna get light. I wish I could tell you that, but that's not the truth. The truth is you gotta find something within. You gotta find something within, and that's gotta push you, and that's gotta elevate you, and that's gotta drive you, and that's gotta move you. And when you find out what your why is, you don't hit snooze no more. When you find your why, you find a way to make it happen.
But what's hard is going, yesterday I got nothing from working as hard as I could. Nothing happened from that. I'm gonna do the same thing again today, but I'm gonna try to go harder. That's the hardest thing in the world. To get up every day and give 100% and be in the same position that you were each day, but mentally know that you're trying and trying and trying. That's a real grind.
You want something, go get it. Period.
Take the lid off the man-made roofs that we put above ourselves and always play like an underdog.
I'm not going to come here and sell out on who I am. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to lower my standards for you. No, that's not why I showed up.
We did not come this far to just break down and lose now. I'm a winner. I'm going to win.
The only thing that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will run.
You will not be outworked.
I will not be outworked, right. Period.
And you have to get to a point where you love doing the thing. That's why you do it.
And the fucking anchor is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day before anybody else and grounding my thought process in the no one will outwork me. No one.
And you will have to fight and fight. And most of you won't be successful, not because you can't do it, but you can't outlast your old you long enough to get to your new one.
No matter how much I bleed on my elbows or my knees, I saw that vision of the perfect scene, and it was an important scene, and I would do it over and over again until we got it.
When I was growing up, this was all the protection we needed. You win some, you lose some.
All starts with this. 2 hands, putting it to work.
So, people naturally just want to see you fail. They're like, this guy thinks he's that good. And I put that pressure on myself, like, watch this.
But it ain't about how hard you hit.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
The only thing that you can do is win so big that all of them constantly compare themselves to you, and then you'll forget they exist.
You got to get to that place where you don't need attention, you don't need recognition, you don't need the accolades. You just want to put in the work, and the next time you surface, the next time you show up, it's game over.
If you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture.
Lose! I don't lose! I win! That's my job! That's what I do!
I pray, I think, I speak, I walk like a champion. No loss, no setback, no mistake will ever change that. I'm a conqueror, born to succeed, anointed to prosper, blessed and unstoppable.
But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the dreams given to you by life, the ideas that you never acted on, the talents, the gifts, the abilities that you never used. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, "We came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever." And the question is, if you died this very moment, what will die with you? Repeat after me, please, with power, feeling, and conviction. I refuse to die an unlived life.
Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. So for me, I want to represent possibilities. I want to represent the idea that you really can make what you want. I just believe that. I believe that I can create whatever I want to create. If I can put my head on it right, study it, learn the patterns.
You got fighters that may be faster than me. You got fighters that may hit harder than me. But you don't have no fighter that can make adjustments like me. You don't have fighters that can be on my level mentally. It's never personal for me. It's always business.
Who are we to think that we don't deserve or haven't earned these gifts when we get them? It's not our right.
Success starts with you. And sometimes it's going to get lonely. Sometimes it's going to be cold. Sometimes you're going to get weary.
You never allow yourself to say the words, "I'm out of moves." You're never out of moves. You're never out of options, right? There is always something else that you can do.
As long as you can wake up in the morning, you still in the game, which means if you're in the game and there's still time left in the game, you can still win the game.
If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famine, should go, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, with the help of God, you'll get it.
You know, it's a very unique relationship. That risk is exhilarating. It's exciting. You know, maintaining it, it's a lot of work. It's not easy.
The race is never over. The journey has no port. The adventure never ends because we are always on the way. And let somebody else come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you scored." Let them run up and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Man, you won."
That he said success is the only revenge. It's not the best revenge. He's like, it's the only one. There's no other revenge. because everything else is petty. Everything else does show that you were thinking about these people all day long, which means they win by default. He's like, all you can do is think about your goal and winning. He's like, and when you win, that's when you become so big that they shrink into irrelevance. You cast a shadow that no one even can see them behind you.
If we stay in process, all right, within ourselves, in the joy of the doing, we will never choke at the finish line. Why? Because we aren't thinking of the finish line. We're not watching ourselves on the Jumbotron, performing the very act that we're in the middle of. No, we're in process. The approach is the destination, and we are never finished.
The one mentality that you must have in life is that regardless of what's in front of you, you still must grind. I'll never be in the Olympics. I'll never be a professional athlete, but still I grind. I fail at most things I do, but still I grind.
We don't have a 5-year plan. We don't have a 3-year plan. How do you do it then? We wake up and grind. Winners win. I focus more on winning than I focus on structure. I focus on winning. And when you become a winner, they start seeing you with winners.
Success is about positioning. Getting up every day and doing the right things will eventually put you in position to win. Your future is too important to be held hostage by fear.
Failure gives you two choices. You stay down or you get up. Well, I'm up and I am fired up because I have figured it out.
I want you to erase the face of defeat and embrace the process.
All of the negative things that happen on the micro have the opportunity, if doubled down on, to be huge wins in the macro, and sometimes in ways that just a micro win would never have the ability to be doubled down on and become a capital W win in the macro.
So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never gonna be my hero. I'm not gonna attain that. I know I'm not, and that's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing.
Maybe someone's don't like me, but because maybe I'm too good. I don't know why.
People jealous of you comes with success. So anytime you're successful, people gonna be jealous of you. People are always gonna like you. Sometimes when you're in class, some people don't like you when you're in school, right? But that don't stop you from going, right? And you still go there and be your best, right?
We believe that the biggest obstacle we have to overcome is out there, and many times the call is coming from inside of our own house. I think that the worst enemy that many people have is the voice that's inside of their own head. Now, this voice has probably maybe come from the outside world, but we've now internalized it. You know, we have become our own worst enemy in some regards.
The commodity that I see the majority of people who aren't getting the places they want or aren't achieving the things that they want in this business is strictly based on hustle. It's strictly based on being outworked. It's strictly based on missing crucial opportunities. I say all the time, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
You've got to begin to monitor your mind. And you've got to begin to literally be proactive in programming yourself to success. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've got to take responsibility to make that happen. And as you begin to do that, you'll begin to see some incredible changes in your life. I understand now when Earl Nightingale said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it.
Everybody's great when they're not tired. Because when they tired, that's when the real champions come out. That's when that real dog come out.
It's where I think the real truth comes out, because I think there are a lot of people who are very talented who can make it there. There are very few people who can deal with the pressure and the stress that happens when we're there.
I feel I'm the best ever. It's not bragging or boasting. The proof is in the pudding.
In my mind, I'm always the best.
I am the greatest fighter of all time. And when I hit you with a hard right hand, you will fall.
You gotta win tomorrow. You gotta win right now. If you're passionate about what you're doing, keep going, keep believing, reach for the stars.
Everything is always impossible until someone does it. Maybe it has never been done before. That's perfectly fine with me. But I'm gonna do it.
Never say never. Because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion.
Hungry dogs run fast.
Let the big dogs eat!
If you look at the greats in any walk of life, the greats do things when they don't always want to. And that's the separation.
It means you have to be more disciplined than not disciplined. I wanted to be the best I could be, period.
I was waiting for you to smile at some of the compliments. You didn't.
Smiling doesn't win you gold medals.
I'm too fast, I'm too skillful, and I'm gonna show everybody out there watching this show and the whole world, and the world will bow and admit that I am the greatest of all times when you see what I do to George Foreman.
I believe that whatever I put my mind to, and if I was willing to make sacrifices and I was dedicated, that I could achieve absolutely anything.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Maybe someone's don't like me because maybe I'm too good.
You win some, you lose some. But you live to fight another day.
Tired don't mean nothing. Tired is only in the mind. You tell yourself you're tired, you're gonna be tired. I don't get tired.
I'm going to beat you. I'm going to let you know I beat you. I'm going to want you to reconsider your professional life choice.
My father who raised me, his thing was, son, you may not be the best, but leave everything on the floor. You put 120%. I'm just asking you to do 120. Like every day when you come in, 120.
You gotta want it so bad. You gotta give all of yourself to get it. You gotta be obsessive.
Because I didn't grow up with things being handed to me. I had to work hard, I had to dedicate myself, and I had to be determined, and I was.
The bottom line is that if you're talking about beating everybody else on the planet to a thing, what you're actually talking about is what are you prepared to sacrifice psychologically, physically, existentially, relationally, socially, in terms of your self-esteem, your confidence, everything, right? All of that.
That pain you feel, that's the pain of success. You must be willing to shoulder that pain to get to success. And success is something that's a very lonely path in this world. Because few are willing to make that down payment of pain for that futurement of success, a better life. Very few are.
So if you want to be the top, you gotta move different.
There wasn't a lot of smiley faces with me out there. There wasn't a lot of smiley faces with Michael Jordan. There weren't a lot of smiley faces with Kobe Bryant. There weren't a lot of smiley faces with Tiger Woods. Even when I watch sports today and see these guys on the range, like they're all buddies, and I'm like, that's not the killer instinct. That's just not. I don't think Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson were trying to be friends with anybody. I think they were going out there on a mission. And if there was someone in their way, they had to crush them.
There's never any doubts in my mind because I'm the best in the world. Even though a lot of you don't like to hear it, it's fact, I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best.
You can love me. You can hate me. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win.
At the end of the day, even Alexander, one of his famous quotes is, I have met the enemy, it is I, right? And although that is one element of an enemy, that's great, we need that. Michael had it, Brady had it, Kobe had it, but there's a crazy psychologically, you can call it, psycho-competitor that they're constantly in the search of recruiting their next enemy. It's like, life is boring if I don't have my next target. I'm almost, bad for myself if I don't have the next target, the next enemy. And if I choose it the right way, then I'm able to bring out a side of me I've never seen before.
Success is the only revenge. As you expand, they shrink into irrelevance. As you get louder, no one can hear them. You don't beat them, you cast a shadow so big, no one can see them to begin with.
And that's what it comes down to, like, what are you willing to sacrifice at the end of the day? You know, people don't understand the level of sacrifice it's going to take. And there's been moments where I realized that I compete because I want to win. I love winning. I love being the best in the world. I've sat many times trying to find the balance of what I want within all this. If I was losing, I wouldn't be competing. I'm here to win.
It is hard. It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because success and achievement come from overcoming adversity.
When the rest of the world says no to you, you say yes to yourself. You say yes, I believe. You say yes, I can do it. You say yes, nothing can stop me.
If you want to be a great player, if you play every single day, 2-3 hours, every single day, over the course of a year, how much better are you getting?
The energy it requires to start doing something is way more than the energy required to continue doing the thing. And that the beginning of doing anything results in the lowest amount of reward, both internal and external, than when you've been doing it for ages.
How often should I do it? Do it until you are producing the results. That's how often you should do it. And you never stop, because once you stop, that's when those negative thoughts will come back. Once you stop, that's when you will begin to doubt yourself. Once you stop, I'm telling you what I know. Yes, every day it's a selling job on you. It's possible. I can do this. I can make this happen. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. It's possible. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind.
What could you do to improve yourself? Well, let's step one step backwards. The first question might be, why should you even bother improving yourself? And I think the answer to that is something like, so you don't suffer any more stupidly than you have to. And maybe so others don't have to either. It's something like that. You know, like there's a real injunction at the bottom of it. It's not some casual self-help doctrine. It's that if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it, and in a big way, and so will the people around you. Now, and you could say, well, I don't care about that, but that's actually not true. You actually do care about that, because if you're in pain, you will care about it. And so you do care about it, even if it's just that negative way, you know. It's very rare that you can find someone who's in excruciating pain who would ever say, well, it would be no better if I was out of this. It's sort of pain is one of those things that brings the idea that it would be better if it didn't exist along with it. It's incontrovertible.
It's not an option. And the reason why some of you are not where you're supposed to be, you've given yourself an option. You've given yourself an out. You've given yourself an excuse. You've given yourself room not to do it.
Imagine if you could use pain as a fuel. Imagine if you could use the pain as a passport. Imagine if you could use the pain to push you, to condition you, to prepare you for the stages and the rooms you've got to walk into and the tables you've got to sit at and the stages you have to stand on. What if the pain could make you better? What if the pain could build muscle? What if the pain could cause you to reach higher, to leap farther, to run faster? What if the pain could help you?
Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress.
You must have some kind of vision for your life. Even if you don't know the plan, you have to have a direction in which you choose to go. I never was the kind of woman who liked to get in a car and just go for a ride. I want to know, where are we going? Do we have a destination? Is there a plan? Or are we just riding? You want to be in the driver's seat of your own life, because if you're not, life will drive you.
People that are hungry know if you want to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.
The skills that you develop along the way, like Steve Jobs learning calligraphy that then became Apple fonts that, transformed how we type. Those early days, that little trench winning in the weeds, oftentimes gives you these huge advantages later on because you have more context than anyone else. And so rather than lament them and hate the fact that you're going through it, remembering that these will be arrows that you put in the quiver that you're going to be using to slay the future bigger dragons. And so
if anything tried to bring us down, we used it to make us stronger. We were never satisfied, never finished, will never be retired. My high school English teacher, Mr. Fisk, I actually paid attention one time in class, and he said, he had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And I took that to heart.
So people always ask me, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. I couldn't wait for the next exercise, for the next half hour of posing and all the kind of things that you have to do to be a champion. I felt so great knowing where I was going, and I tell you, it worked. I mean, think about it. And I was just not visualizing just my exercise, but I was really lifting the trophy over my head.
If you've learned anything in your 4 years, I hope it's that education should be for, rather than material advantage, the exhilaration of learning. You've learned too, I hope, as Sophocles assured us, that wisdom is the chief element of happiness. I also hope you've learned enough to recognize how little you know now, at the moment. For today is just the beginning. It's where you go from here that matters. As you commence then, and before you scatter to the winds, I urge you to do whatever you do for no reason other than you love it and believe in its importance.
Sometimes life is hard. Things go wrong. In life, and in love, and in business, and in friendship, and in health, and in all the other ways that life can go wrong. And when things get tough, this is what you should do.
Turn towards the problems that you see and engage with them. Walk right up to them, look them in the eye, and then look yourself in the eye and decide what you're going to do about them.
Some of you have a problem, like you the old standard car, right? The new cars are automatic. They got an automatic starter. You just hit the button, like you don't even do the key no more. You just push the button and it starts on its own. Unfortunately, we weren't made just to start on our own. You got to find your why, and your why is what's going to start you. And so for a lot of you, you're not doing nothing because you don't have any purpose right now. You don't have a sense of purpose. You're not waking up for nobody. And I need you to get that engine. I need that drive, because you know what to do. You're the right person to do it, but you just can't seem to get out of bed. You can't seem to do what you're supposed to do. Every time you come up against a trial or a tribulation, you let it stop you. Like you don't have, if it's not a good car, some people can't even make it over the hill. But if you got an 8-cylinder or a 12-cylinder, it's like it's not even a hill. You put your foot on the gas and you go over. The problem with most of you, you're a 4-cylinder. And when you hit trials and tribulations, you can't make it up the hill.
You always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. It is a slow clap that's just you rooting for you. People struggle to do things alone. And the path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not with other people. And rather than fighting that or bemoaning it, see it as an indicator that you're on the right path, Because if everyone else were cheering you on, then it means you're not in the right place, because it means you're just like everyone else, and that's not where you want to be.
Like, I used to sit there as a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old and look at my class and my teachers and like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show all of you. You think I suck? I'm gonna be the biggest, best person on earth.
So you don't have to worry about revenge or getting back at somebody, making sure they pay. You just have to do the right thing, and the right thing will follow you even when people don't support it.
Someone on the internet thinks what you're doing is stupid or evil or it's all been done before. Make good art. Probably things will work out somehow, and eventually time will take the sting away, and that doesn't even matter. Do what only you can do best. Make good art. The urge starting out is to copy, and that's not a bad thing. Most of us only find our own voices after we've sounded like a lot of other people. But the one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. The moment that you feel that just possibly you're walking down the street naked, exposing too much of your heart and your mind and what exists on the inside, showing too much of yourself, that's the moment you may be starting to get it right.
All of you leaving here have the potential for enormous success. There's a price that comes with that.
I'm gonna sell you on the following: hard work. And don't buy my hard work course, because there isn't one. There's no hard work sessions, there's no hard work ebook, there's just hard work.
I think the numbers, they say everything. I don't need to say, I'm a minister of football, I'm a legend. The numbers say everything, so.
And we're not on this stage just because of talent or ability. We're up here because of 4 a.m. We're up here because of 2-a-days or 5-a-days. We're up here because we had a dream and let nothing stand in our way.
The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying.
How many of you decided not to do something because it was hard? Raise your hands, please. I want you to write this down. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Complain, point at your circumstances, give up your power, blame the government, blame the economy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy.
Because in the early days, hard was, ooh, stop. This isn't good. I should, this is a warning sign. This is a red flag. I should slow down, or I should stop, I should pivot. But the more I think about it as a competitive landscape, as I'm clear on what this path is supposed to look like, and these rocks and these dragons are things that I'm going to have to slay along the way to get the princess or get the treasure, I get happier about the harder it is because I know that no one else will follow.
It's a selection effect.
And I think if you can shift from this is hard to no one else will be able to do this, then it flips from being this thing that you're like, oh, poor me, to oh, poor everyone else who's going to have to fucking try. And I think that is so much more motivating as a frame for the exact same circumstance.
So, maybe we could leave the jealousy of the successful behind for a while and notice now and then that some of the people who got to where they are actually deserve to get to where they are, and we should be thankful that they exist.
To be in my shoes is not easy, but I'm not complaining. I just want to say that I feel happy. All this happened because of the reason. The reason is I'm unbelievable inside the pitch. This is why the people have so much interesting on me.
I don't think I'm that talented. I do think I've outworked people. I think that's real. I also think it's controllable. And I think anybody who's watching right now, they may not be the most talented entrepreneur or salesman or an amazing craft of content, but if they outwork somebody, that is a variable that feels in control.
Maybe if it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
I believe there's time for resting at the end, but for me, that time is not now. Thank you for this tremendous honor in acknowledging my basketball career, but I'm far from done. My next dream is to be honored one day for inspiring the next generation of athletes to have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle.
And I'm going to tell you 2 versions of my life so far, both equally true. This is an attempt to be real for a second with each other. Well, here's the first version. Went to NYU Film School on 2 scholarships, graduated in a little over 3 years, made my first film at 21, making me one of the youngest professional filmmakers in history, sold an original script in one of the biggest bidding wars of the time, and then went on to be a writer on 3 films that went on to be the 3 biggest films of that year for 3 studios. Wrote and directed nonstop from then till now, culminating at over $3 billion in the theaters, most of which came from original movies out of my head. Word for word, I could argue that I am the highest paid writer in the world. My films have opened #1 in every country in the world countless times. I have never had a job other than a filmmaker. I walk into a room with other filmmakers and the word I hear most often is honor. It's an honor to meet you. And they say, you are an icon. So now here's the second version of my career. Made a film at 21. It was pulled from 1 theater in 2 weeks. Made a second film that was pulled from a handful of theaters in a couple weeks. 2-time failure at 24. Living in my parents' guest room with my new wife. Sold a script to Fox and was immediately fired by them as the director. Make a few hit films in a row, then make a film that Newsweek calls the worst film of the year. I make children's films that get roasted and fail. Have a press screening of a film that I love, and in the middle of the press screening, a person stands up and says, "This film sucks." Find myself questioning myself, every thought that comes out of my head. The world of my industry has decided I have no worth. I am a cautionary tale, a person who got lucky for a time, but revealed himself to be a sham. I do not believe in myself. How do we explain these 2 versions of a life? I was incredibly powerful at every step of the way, and I didn't see it. I am here to put forth the theory that every one of you is insanely powerful and don't know it.
The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. I mean, as you know, I was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War. And I didn't really like Austria when I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't see myself becoming a farmer or a worker in a factory or anything like that. Even though my parents wanted me to stay there and have a normal life. But that was their vision, not mine. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. One day after school, I walked by a store in Graz, and it was the only store that really sold kind of American stuff. So I went inside and I looked around and I looked at this stuff, and then I saw a magazine. I saw a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. And on the cover it said, how Reg Park, Mr. Universe, became the Hercules star. So I bought the magazine, I took it home and I read it over and over from the front page to the back. It had everything in there, how he trained in a factory town, how he worked out every day for 3-4 hours and became the strongest man of Europe, and how he won Mr. Europe, Mr. Great Britain, and then eventually Mr. Universe. I read that and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. 74% hate their job in America. Now, there's not much different when you come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they followed this goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden there's a job opening, so they get that job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. That is unbelievable if you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing.
Were you surprised when your dad said that to you?
Yeah.
When you were going to take a pivot in life trajectory?
I was fully stabilizing in that moment. As I said, I called Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. He'll have had a beer. He's already had dinner. Not Monday, because that's the first day of the work week. He'll be a little more stressed. When I unload this, that I don't want to go to law school, I want to go to film school. And I really thought he was going to go, you want to do what? Again, the family I grew up in, the idea of me thinking that the idea of going into film, very Saturday idea, a hobby idea, not a job. And when I shared it with him, the pause that he took, you know, another bead of sweat started on my back of my neck before he goes, well, don't half-ass it. Now, I will say this, though. I do know now the way that I asked him is part of the reason he gave me that answer. I really wasn't asking him. I called him and said, Dad, I don't want to go to law school anymore. I want to go to film school. I didn't go, I'm not sure about law school. If I'd have stuttered into that, I think he would have, again, heard me half-assing what I wanted and gone.
In the process of being told to not half-ass it, you didn't half-ass it?
The way I asked. He asked, and he heard my own conviction to do it. Look, when he said don't half-ass it, he wasn't only giving me permission, he was giving me a responsibility. He was going, I knew I had his word with me in my future decisions. I was making them for more than myself. I wanted to fail less because I didn't want to embarrass him. And that was extra motivation, extra strength, extra courage, extra sobriety, extra like, well, let's find out. Go for it, man.
I said, I want to tell you a story about my dad. He says, yeah, what's that? I said, when I first had my son, Patrick Tico, he was 6 months old or something like that. And I went to my dad, I said, Dad, you know, when I was living in Iran with you, you would travel, you would work 6 days out of the week. And you would leave 5 a.m. in the morning and you'd come home at 8:30 and you expected us to be in bed by 8 o'clock because your standards, so we wouldn't see you but Fridays. I said, and on Sundays, you were an early bird. You'd wake us up at 6, we'd go to Park Shahan Shahi. Then we'd go to church, a Syrian church. Then we'd go to grandma's house, eat her food. Then we'd come back home. You'd take a 2-hour nap. You'd listen to your music with the headphones. Then he would come back, have dinner, watch a movie, and then we'd go to sleep, right? I said, when I calculate the days you spend with us in 10 years, it's 52 days a year, times 10, 520 days, out of 3,650 days. You had 3,650 days in 10 years, but you only saw us 520 days. Did it bother you? Do you ever regret that as a father? No hesitation. He says, no regrets. I said, Dad, don't tell me this because you're protecting your ego. Do you feel like you regret any of it? Like you wish you would have worked less to spend more time with us? He says, 0. He says, what is my job as a father? Isn't my job as a father to teach you and raise you to be strong so you can be independent without having to rely on anybody else? Meaning you can stand on your own 2 feet and you can go out there and take your own family and take care of it. Isn't that the job of a father? Yes. How are you doing? I said, I'm independent. He said, then I did my job right. He says, I don't regret any of it. He says, I enjoyed every minute I had with you guys. I had so much fun with you and Paulette. I said, that's very good to hear because as a man now that I'm getting through the next phase, I like hearing that from my own father. But I said, I want to say something to you as well. He says, what's that? I said, I'm 33 sitting here thinking about this with you, and I also don't have any regrets that you weren't there. Everybody in Iran, you're working. I said, I saw other dads that weren't workers. And sometimes they didn't have money and they were going through challenges. My daddy worked his ass off to provide. how lucky I am to have a father that provided for me. I said, I wanted you to know from me that I also have no guilt for you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me as a father. I love you and I appreciate your example. You know why I didn't feel guilty? He says, what? He says, if you're away from your family or you're at a bar getting drunk, you're a bad dad if you're doing that, because you don't have moral authority. Why would you not spend time with your kids over drinking and going to a bar? Why would you not want to be there and start going and hanging out and just doing other kind of stuff? Why wouldn't you want to spend more time with your kids, right? He said, but if you're away from your kids, you better make it count and you better win. That is the only way they'll forgive you, if you use that time to win. This is why Kobe's kids loved him. This is why Michael's kids, this is why anybody that lives and performs at the highest level, at least the kids sit there and say, even though daddy was away, even though mommy was away, at least he or she used that time wisely to win. Then when there's experiences, you remind them, look where we are. This is because mommy and daddy worked very hard. So as an entrepreneur, executive driven person, at one point, you're gonna hit that wall where that guilt's gonna be felt. And anybody and everybody can give you advice. I can tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, you have to make that decision yourself. I made my choice to go after my vision because long term, I'd like to be able to set up a position where these kids are in business with me in many, many different ways. They don't have to do the same thing, all three of them, but I'd like long term for our family to be closer, simply because the decisions daddy's making today.
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
I don't care how good you are. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how much you work on yourself. There are some times when things aren't going to go right. They just are not going to go right. There are times when anything that can happen will happen. Murphy's Law will be knocking at your door. Why? I don't know why. That's called life.
There can never be anything good unless there's some bad along the way. There has to be a challenge. There has to be some setbacks. You cannot think in your mind that that's all you're good for is the good things.
I used to hear you always talk about, why me? Why me? Why not you? Maybe your shoulders are broad enough to carry this weight.
Yo, despite this happening, I owe it to myself to still be the person that I dreamed of being, and this setback will only be a setup for a comeback.
I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm an underdog. I wasn't born in this awesome country. Everybody here had a quicker head start than I did, you know what I mean? And so that's who I am. So my hard wiring, my ethos, who I am is adversity, is underdog.
And so every night I would lie in bed and I would say to myself, all right, that's it, Mel. Tomorrow, it's the new you.
You have this innate ability, this instinct on the inside, that you can come back from anything.
Your reality of me says I'm not enough. Your reality of me says I can't do this. Your reality of me says you won't finish today. My reality says all I have is all I need. I'm not living in my setback any longer. I'm moving forward.
Yeah. Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. And you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless. You got to be relentless.
You want your stuff? It's necessary you take responsibility for it. That you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally.
The amount of people who are watching this right now that are sad that they didn't go for it and didn't make the move and didn't try, that regret is a hell of a lot longer and more painful and more drawn out than the instant rejection of going for it.
But you know, deep down inside, you want to be in the arena, in the fight, in the war, in the battle, with everybody else watching you in it, competing, fighting, throwing stuff at you, booing you. Go for it. You can do it. You suck. You're terrible. You're the worst I've ever seen. But you're in the arena. I At least you have the guts to roll up your sleeves and go out there and fight. That's the juice of life. And when you do make a comeback, you know, when you make a comeback, what do you think your kids are going to talk about for the rest of their lives?
All right, if I look at the odds and I look at what it's supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be in this chair. I'm not supposed to have the level of thinking that I have at this point in time in my career with this success. I'm supposed to be comfortable. I'm supposed to be like a daisical. I'm supposed to be the asshole. Statistics show I'm supposed to be on drugs. I'm supposed to be a train wreck right now. I'm supposed to be on my downside.
What keeps you grounded?
The fact that I'm the complete opposite of what I'm quote unquote supposed to be. The fact that you hear people say 5 minutes of fame and 6 minutes of fame, and it's much more bigger than that.
Do it again. Do it again. It hurt, but it's helping me, and it's building a bridge to the future and the destiny that I've been called to fulfill. Every time you go back, you're building muscle, you're building mentality, you're building endurance, you're establishing faith. It takes faith to get out of this, to crawl yourself out of a messy history and leave a legacy.
And so for me, I want to be proud of myself. I want to be proud of the things I say and following through on those things and being integral with myself.
You don't have to come back and do what you did before and do it exponentially better. You have to come back better as a person and really value that process. Like, that's a comeback.
But I'll say it again, I would rather you confront, fight, and fail than for you just to settle for the comfort of remaining the same.
How can I become more than what's happened to me? How can I become more than the circumstance that I hate? But how can I not let that hate towards a circumstance I can't control me?
There's a part of you that never says die. There's a part of you that refuses to quit. There's a part of you that has long suffering. There's a part of you that when you get down for the count, they can count up to 8, they can count to 9, but 10, you are back on your feet. There's a part of you that no matter what comes your way, you just got to bounce back up. You can't stay down. No matter what is thrown your way, you got something called comeback.
We make decisions with feelings. 95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. You need to take control of the moment and leverage the power of your decisions and make them up here. Because when I was lying in bed, I wasn't saying to myself, I should get up because that's going to help me start my day right. I was saying, do I feel like getting up?
No, you don't.
No. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. Do you feel like having that hard conversation? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity. And it is blinding you from the fact that how you change your life is one 5-second decision at a time, one push at a time. And if you accept the fact that you may never feel ready, and you may never feel motivated, and you may never feel confident, you may never feel courageous, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. What happens over time is, as you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, that you start to see yourself becoming the kind of person that speaks even though your voice is shaking. You're the kind of person that has a bias toward moving instead of a bias toward thinking. Guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage.
The fact that at any point in time that rug can be pulled out from under you and that world can no longer exist. It's false. Hollywood is false. It's not real. It's make-believe. That's not real. The day that you believe it and think it's real is the day you lose. It's not real. That's why I work as hard as I do. I'm going to get it all right now. So if you ever do decide to pull it from under me, there's so many other things that can't be pulled because I've set it up when I had the opportunity
Protected yourself, yeah.
I don't know what your dream is. I don't see your vision, but if you write it down and you put the
working and you beat on your craft and you give it everything you have and you give yourself to your work, at some point, everything's going to begin to shift and change because you refuse to quit.
This isn't just a conversation about trying again. This is a conversation about winning again.
Change is tough, but change is possible for some of you. The world's not going to become easier all of a sudden. No, as you mature, you're going to have more responsibilities, more things that people expect out of you. But the truth is, you can do hard things. The truth is, as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in your heart.
And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. See, as long as you're breathing, you got a shot at your dream. That's the way I resolve. Say this, please. It's not over till I win. Got that right.
Now, it's also a very complicated question. If you ask someone, what do you want? You'll probably freeze her into immobility because it's really like asking, how do you want all of your life to go? Please summarize. So you could ask yourself, well, if you could have the education you wanted, what would that look like? If you had the job or career track that would motivate you, just hypothetically, what might that look like? Sketch out a bad plan. What might you like to do with your time that you would really like to do? And the thing about these questions is that they're real questions. You know, there's this gospel statement that if you knock, the door will open, and that if you ask, you will receive, and if you search, you'll find. If you seek, you'll find. Nothing that you want will manifest itself unless you aim for it.
When the time comes and we're on our deathbed, you're gonna remember these moments where nobody thought you could do it. Logic told you don't do it. Emotion told you, man, you do not want to live with regrets. Go make it happen. And you did. That's when we leave this planet at peace, because we know we fought. There's no value for that. You can't buy that at Walmart. It's not for sale. They sell it through hard work and dedication without anybody seeing you and cheering you on sometimes. That's when this happens.